Hello everyone, we are live. Wellb here. I have Jean Bromage.
Hi.
Or Bromage, I say it the French way. And we're here to discuss Reiki healing. And Jean is a Reiki master teacher, and she is with Reiki Essence Healing Arts.
Yes.
And she'll share more about that, but I'm James, the community manager at wellb, and we like to share our wellness practitioners and what their approach is and what they do with you, and give you some insight about all the fun things that can happen in the world of holistic health and wellness. So with that, Jean, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the founder of Reiki Essence Healing Arts. I am both a Reiki healer and I teach Reiki. And I also make candles and I infuse them with the healing light of Reiki. I work with a variety of different clients, particularly clients undergoing treatment for cancer, as well as people working in the corporate world who are just looking for more balance in their lives and an outlet for their sensitivities, their intuition, and their creativity.
Sounds like good stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely stuff that I prefer to do. And I'm familiar with Reiki and familiar with that type of practice. But for those that aren't as familiar, like what do you think is just the nuts and bolts of what Reiki is about?
Well, when people ask me what is Reiki, I like to describe it as like a white canvas on a painting. It's that pure white light, the highest vibration of light that exists within everything. So when you look at a painting, you know that the white canvas is under there, but you don't see it on the surface. And so the practice of Reiki is a form of honing in on that energy of being fully present in the moment and with the breath, honing in on that energy and utilizing it for either yourself or for others to help them to tap into that whole and healed self that exists within every one of us.
Wow. And so when you describe that to people, do they understand what you're saying, or does it sound still a little bit...
A little esoteric?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Right,
so,
because there's a wide range of people, and some are very practical and very concrete.
Right.
But it's interesting that when you're trying to describe something that's not concrete,
right,
in a concrete way for other people.
Yes, yeah. So logistically, a Reiki session usually lasts an hour to an hour and a half, and people lie on a massage table. And so as the hands are being gently placed on or above the body, they'll begin to experience, oftentimes they'll experience some warmth, they'll definitely start to feel their mind unwind. And sometimes there's tingling, warmth, or thoughts, visions that will come to them, and so forth. And the idea is to help them to relax into the present moment so that their energy field can open up to receiving more energy to help support their healing process. And that could be healing habits, healing physical ailments, or healing emotions. And oftentimes the mind and the body, the emotions are kind of like the connection, the bridge between the mind and the body. And so during a Reiki session, that can help to clear out any stuck emotions that are in the body, to release them, and then to allow the body and the mind to find its balance. Yeah.
I think we all could use a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So there is, sometimes it's touching, sometimes it's not, or most times it's not. Or...
It's usually very light touch or above the body. It just depends. And oftentimes the experience of the energy can be a lot stronger when the hands are above the body than when they're on the body. So it just depends on the person and where they're at and what is needed. And the other thing about Reiki is that it has a natural intuition. Your body is going to magnetize the energy wherever it needs it the most. So even if I have my hands at your head, because of the meridian channels from the Chinese medicine, from acupuncture, the Reiki energy will literally travel along the path and magnetize itself to where it needs to go. So if somebody, for instance, has a stomach ache, I might work on their head because putting my hands on their stomach might be too much. And so then the energy can then gently flow to the stomach to help balance out whatever discomfort they have.
And do people speak? It's not interactive, right? They're just present?
It can be interactive. Sometimes they'll do a guided meditation to help them to relax or to help them to direct the energy into their body. It just depends.
Cool. And you said the session is an hour?
Hour to hour and a half, yeah.
And do you find people feel like that's a long amount of time, or is it?
Actually, most of the time it flies by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah. Recently, I've done like at fairs, so it's been shorter periods of time. So like 10 minutes, like like when they do like the sample sessions, or you can sit and sign up for 10 or 15 minutes. And when I do that, it does go very fast.
Yeah.
It's like initially, or like if you really just get into your body or just like zone out. It's one of those time is like forever and time goes fast feelings. Time is elusive, or it disappears. Like you meld into it.
Right.
So I find that really interesting about the process, and it's like my eyes are closed, and then I don't know where the Reiki person is and what they're doing, and then you get like I think you were saying like visualization sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes they'll get the feeling of phantom hands, so they will lose track of where I am because I'll have my hands, for instance, on their feet, and then I'll move maybe to their stomach or their shoulders, and they'll literally still feel.
So
energy,
phantom hands, like okay.
Yeah. The energy of the hands still working its way into the feet, and it's a really funny experience. But a lot of people will experience that. Yeah. So it's really funny.
Yeah. Well, they say that like if someone loses a limb, sometimes they feel like that limb is still there, so it's like a phantom limb. And so for you, and especially too, I would think that a lot of people that are going for Reiki have probably had a massage at some point in time.
Yeah.
So it's probably reminiscent of that, and then they could almost experience that the hands are activated. Because even with massage, even though it's digging into muscles or soothing the muscles and the skin, there's energy happening there as well.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just not accentuated in that practice.
And a lot of massage therapists will come and study Reiki with me for that reason, because the energy will then just naturally flow into the muscle tissue to help it open up and relax. And they're not even necessarily intending to make it a Reiki session. It's just that the energy starts to naturally flow, and especially because when, again, like I was saying, the emotions are the energy that gets stuck in the body. And so as the physical body starts to loosen its grip, then that gives space for the energy to flow and release and smooth out and find its balance.
I like that. It's almost like when you say that, right, we think of our hands and gripping, but other parts of our body tense up, or we're made of muscles, and so that can grip onto the energy or like the emotional heaviness sometimes, right? We hold on to that.
And as Reiki practitioners, we also oftentimes talk about loosening the mental grip on life. And when we do that, then we're living more fully in the present moment. And by doing that, we can then hold that stronger presence to help a person loosen their physical grip when we're working with them.
So how would you describe the mental grip?
The mental grip?
Yeah.
So
I don't know how I would.
Well, with the different meditations that we work with, it is really about getting centered in your lower hara center, which is below the belly button. It's your center of gravity. And we breathe into that center to then direct the energy outward to clear our energy field. And I always like to describe it as like a tree. The deeper the roots can grow into the ground, then the more the tree can open up and reach up to the skies and grow taller. And so in order to have that spiritual awakening and that presence for yourself and for others, then we have to get very grounded into our center of gravity physically. And then from there, through the breath and the meditation, we can live more fully in the present moment without things from the past holding us back or worrying about the future. And that's the first precept that we meditate on in the practice of Reiki as practitioners, is living fully in the present moment without anger or fear.
Oh, so much that you said there. I'm just like, ah. But yeah, so, well, one thing that stuck to me was you were expressing the practice of what happens, what you can do elsewhere to kind of turn off the mind.
Right.
Whereas I think a lot of people, when you say like disengage from the mind or like turn that part off, it's like they're like, I don't know how to turn it off, or like they're thinking about how to turn it off, and it's like, no, that's just another version of doing that.
Right.
So it was great that you went in and described something else that you're doing that will just naturally turn
off the mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I could not meditate until I studied Reiki. And then when I learned Reiki, it was like, then suddenly I found myself very easily being able to sit for an hour and meditate. Where before it was like 20 minutes, oh my gosh, you know. And it's true, because the breath really does direct the mind when we meditate. And so by working, anchoring the breath and the physical body, then we can anchor ourselves so that the mind can then be at ease and relax and be fully present. So.
Yeah, and another thing that you mentioned too was about being present is past and future. And I, as a counselor, I've seen that, and I've read and studied that those who think about the past too much, they can be depressed.
Yes.
And then those who project into the future too much get anxiety.
Yes.
So it's like another thing for people, right? If they have depression or anxiety and they're seeing a counselor or they're treating it in some way, just doing natural things to de-stress, like physical activity. But then another thing that helps with that is to bring it here, because when you pull from the past or pull from the future into this present moment, that'll just naturally reduce the opportunity for you to be depressed about the past or anxious about the future.
Right, and that's what we talk about, because it's just for today, do not anger, just for today, do not worry. And so anger is repressed, depression is repressed anger, and anxiety is all about worrying about what could happen, all the scenarios. And so what we're doing then is letting that go, so that we can again find and when you're fully present in the moment, that's when you can tap into that Reiki energy. Reiki exists within all of us. It's kind of like this whole Star Wars, may the force be with you kind of thing. And it's about living in the present moment. And when we're fully in the present moment, then we're tapping into that resource that is already there and available to us at any given moment. And so as a Reiki healer, we first have to work on ourselves. And then the greater we tap into that, then the greater healing presence we can have for others to find that within themselves. So oftentimes my clients say, oh, that was so wonderful, you do such great work. And I always say, no, you're the one doing the work. You're the one that's opening up to receiving and tapping into that healing for yourself. And so you're the one that's doing the work. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. It's like all of us have it, or the Star Wars reference, right?
Yeah.
Is that life imitating odd, or odd imitating life? Yeah. It's just like figure it out for yourself. Like sit in a room or sit with a Reiki practitioner and see what it feels like for you. Like I said, I love like the health fairs where they have like the little 10-minute. Just try it for 10 minutes and see, and then after that you can explore meeting up with another practitioner and doing it for a longer session, or seeing what they have to offer, and how it feels for you. But yeah, I think we're all aware that we're energetic creatures as well as bone
physical.
And body and flesh.
And actually we're more energy than we are matter. So,
well, don't go too far now.
Science has proved that. But also getting back to it's also about baby steps, like you said, 10 minutes at a time. And you know, with the new year, you know, we were just talking about how like people make these resolutions and then they go to full force, and then they end up self-sabotaging instead of like turning within and being like, okay, well today I just can't go to the gym, and understanding why, or developing these new habits so that they become a joyful experience as opposed to so much work and pressure that we're putting on ourselves. And so when I'm working with clients on new habits and New Year's resolutions, I like to talk to them about, well, what is going to bring you the most joy, and it's about building up stamina. It's not about, you know, getting to the finish line the first day. It's about, you know, building on these new habits. And so when I teach Reiki, the meditations, we start 10 minutes at a time, and I go for beginners.
Yeah, relative to the goals and resolutions, yeah, we're in resolution season, January, but we're also at the point, right, at the end of the month, but into the year, and it's still looking for, and some people might have already hit a hiccup or a barrier in doing the goals that they have before them, and sometimes it isn't just pushing through and making yourself do, especially when it comes to physical activity. I think that's when people end up getting injured.
Yes.
So sometimes it's just like, you know, it could just be for a day or for an hour, right? Like when you're feeling that, like I know this even as a writer, right? Writer's block. It's like, do you force yourself to write, or do you go for a walk in the park? You know, it's like, so there's ways to pull back, and I think that Reiki and these practices that you're describing are perfect. Like, it's a perfect counterbalance. So in terms of resolutions and setting goals, I almost can't see anymore how you wouldn't have that as part of the equation in achieving your goals. Right? Because it's not just about the outcome, it's the process that you get there. And that's what you're sharing with us, these practical techniques, well, more practical for you and I, but they can become more practical, you know, like another tool in the toolbox of how am I moving along toward my health and wellness goals?
Yeah, because so much of our lives are externalized, and so the practice of Reiki is such a great tool for counterbalancing that externalization. It's not about the, you know, it is about the accomplishment, but at the same time, it's about the internal experience of the journey of getting to the accomplishment. And so, so oftentimes we're always thinking about what we should be doing instead of how we should be being. What do we want to experience on the journey of whatever we're trying to change in our lives?
Yes, you just mentioned the should word. And we all do it, and but it is something.
We shoot ourselves into the ground.
It's when I work with clients one-on-one, and I'm sure you've experienced that, and you talk with them. There's a lot of you really pick up on the shoulds. So that brings me to clients and people that you work with. Is there something that you notice that is common with a lot of the people that you work with? Is it the getting stuck in their head? Is it what's some common thing that you're noticing with the people that you work with?
I think one of the things that people are looking for is inner peace, but they're also looking to replenish their energy. People are really drained. So even whether it's somebody going through serious medical treatments, such as the cancer patients they work with, oftentimes we time their sessions around their treatments because they get exhausted and depleted, and so to replenish their energy. Now, the other people I work with, like in the corporate world, who are constantly on the go, and suddenly they hit this wall where suddenly their body is barking back, and so they have these sense of physical and emotional sensitivities that start to come up out of nowhere. And so the Reiki then helps them to kind of, again, go inward and to ask themselves, what is it that I need? And again, replenish their energy, get them more grounded, get them back into their bodies so that their mind isn't spinning constantly all day long, which really can put a strain on the adrenal glands and the endocrine system. So a lot of the issues people also come to me with are oftentimes issues with the endocrine system. And so we do a lot of balancing on that level as well, to keep the hormones and everything in balance.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And interesting thing in what you described is just like you can have someone with cancer or someone with a disease or a condition or an illness that it's apparent that they're going to have a lack of energy due to their condition. But then you have a segment of people that are well relative to illness,
right?
But how their lifestyle, how they're living their lifestyle, that system within the body is perceiving a similar way. It's depleted.
It's
depleted. Regardless of what the reason is, you're depleting it. So I know as a health counselor, you talk to people about their condition, but then you move past the condition and you pull from these different practices that can help them almost regardless of the condition. It's like, all right, now that we know the condition, but what is the effect of the condition? And the effect of the condition is that you feel burned out, or you have no energy, or your endocrine system is out of whack.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we realign that? How do we balance it? And this could be a great tool that they have that they haven't looked at before.
Exactly.
In terms of like, what's the bigger picture? Or right, like they find something. It's like, going on the treadmill helps me de-stress. But it's like, well, you can't go on the treadmill every time.
Right.
Or that's one tool, and you're using that sometimes. But once again, like I said, like instead of doing the physical activity or the external thing, there's also the internal stuff that we could be doing. So
and in the practice of Reiki, it's encouraged that when we learn Reiki, that we take 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. So that way we're waking up in the morning with intention, and then we're going to bed at night releasing anything that no longer serves us, and to once again kind of let go of the past. And so that way we're ready and prepared to start the next day and with a fresh start.
So tell me more about the clients you work with. Are you noticing like a segment of people that are a little bit more open to the work that you do, or?
I think in the medical community, Reiki is becoming more well respected, and so a lot of hospitals are offering Reiki to their cancer patients, and so that's why when I started studying Reiki, I actually had several people in my life personally who developed cancer, and so it was a real gift for me to be able to practice on them and to be able to show up for them in a way that I wouldn't have been able to. And so that's how I ended up starting to work with that population. And now I just did a medical Reiki training, so I can give Reiki during surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And so I'm looking forward to how that's going to unfold this year. So it's with Raven Keys, who I studied, and it's the medical Reiki training that we did.
Wow.
And so one of the breast cancer specialists here in the city is kind of the driving force behind that. And I'm really excited to see how that's going to unfold this year. So that segment of the population is opening up to it more and more.
Good.
And more research is starting to happen around that. And then I would say the other population that I work with is people in the corporate world, like we were just talking about. And those tend to be my students. Those are the people that come. They'll come to me for Reiki healing, but then they realize they want more of it in their daily lives. And so the self-care that you learn with Reiki levels 1 and 2 is transformative for them in their everyday lives, and handling the stress at work, the stress at home, and the whole life balance thing. And I also find that a lot of people in the more and more people in the corporate world are awakening to their intuition, their sensitivities, their creativity, but they don't have a platform to explore that. And Reiki oftentimes then gives them a platform with the meditations and the self-care to then kind of listen to the inner voice that's saying, remember when you loved those guitar lessons back then? And kind of taking up those things that bring you joy every day. And that's just as healing as just coming and lying on the table and receiving, So it's really helped a lot of people to awaken to their true self and the full expression.
Or it's just natural evolution or natural growth in life.
Yeah.
We're living in exciting times, especially in New York City, where people that do work corporate, they could work 20 or 30 years at a place and then have it change. Be like, no, I still have a lot of life ahead of me, and this is the feedback that I've been receiving. Yes, I was successful, and yes, I loved this portion of work that I did, and a lot of the tools that they had during that time worked for them then. But it's like, what can I incorporate now to either finish that phase or move on to the next phase and be supported?
And one of my master's students, she literally at the end of this past year just left her corporate job, and she's working Reiki with animals and animal communication, and she's really, really excited about what the next 20 years are going to bring for her in her career. So absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Well, we're going to finish up, but I want to kind of leave on the note of like, what's some practical things? We talked before about affirmations. I'm a big affirmation fan. But so like along the lines of that, like what's something that somebody watching this can take? Obviously, it would be great for them to connect with a Reiki healer, but in the interim, like what's something that they could do on their own to get in touch with?
Like in this moment? Yeah, absolutely. So actually, I'll walk you through it too.
Oh, okay.
So just plant your feet on the ground, and so you can just relax your hands wherever you like on your lap, and then I want you to just imagine, gently close your eyes and take some slow, deep breaths in that place I was describing earlier, just below the belly button, and really breathe fully into that. And then on the exhale, I want you to imagine a sphere of white light in that center, and just with each exhale, imagining that light growing into your energy field. So with the inhale, you're expanding and opening that area of the body, that center of gravity, and then on the exhale, just imagine that light moving out 360 degrees all around your body.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just funny too, because it's like, how often do we do that? And it's funny, once again, the time thing. It seems like I was doing it for so long, and I'm like, it's not that long, you know, after when you come back to your mind. But as you're doing it, it just, especially like you said, when the ball of light and expanding it.
Yeah.
So then you kind of just feel.
Yeah, and then what that's doing is it's that ball of light is kind of the anchor here. This is our center of gravity. So it's taking the mind and kind of letting it go so that you can sink back into your body again. And sometimes I'll be so stressed out at work, and I'll just take, it's just like what we just did, and just take like 3 really deep breaths into that center, and then I can refocus and then address whatever I'm dealing with. And you know, sometimes I'll put my left hand on my heart and my right hand on my solar plexus too. If I'm just like riding the train and I'm just feeling really tired, I'll just kind of do this. And again, just do those deep breaths and just kind of feel myself like reconnecting with my body. You know, my mind's been reeling with all the activities of the day. So
all right, this is great.
This is fun.
Yes, and so we'll post this. We'll post more information, but about you, but Reiki Essence Healing Arts.
Yes, .com.
.com. Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, and you have wonderful candles, and I know you work with the essential oils as well. But hopefully, we'll get to talk to you again about stuff like that.
That would be great.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was very informative. I know we'll all be able to watch this again. We'll put this on our YouTube channel. And thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.